Thor, stripped of his powers and the mighty hammer Mjolnir, cast down from Asgard to Earth as punishment. As mighty as he was, he got reduced to mortality, to suffer, in order to know the things that will make him a true king. When thrown onto the earth, Thor was placed on a journey where he had to learn, grow, and pay the price of being worthy for the powers that were once his. So what is the cost of worthiness? What is it that Thor had to learn and become in order to become worthy of his position and kingship? And most importantly, what's worth learning from this journey Thor had to take? Now, before Thor was exiled to Earth, he was cocky, arrogant, braggadocious, vain at best and cruel at worst. Well, it's what Odin said.
You're a vain, greedy, cruel boy!
These early characteristics of Thor that many of us had, or still currently have, stood in the way of Thor becoming a worthy king and a worthy possessor of his great powers. Because of his pride and ego, Thor started a battle with the frost giants, and it ended with Odin kicking him out for his own good. Because characteristics like this aren't simply wished away, they are usually beaten out of you. Suffering and some hardship reduces them and allows virtues like wisdom and humility to blossom. So Thor, in order to possibly become worthy of being king, had to suffer exile for a time. A pretty short time actually, but that's not the point. He still had to go through a journey regardless of its length. But simply going on the journey itself isn't enough. It's about actually learning something, but not just anything for whatever position you want. Thor's journey from heavenly prince to pauper back to prince was only going to reach a positive end if he learned the appropriate lesson and grew correctly. It's not about learning any odd lesson. It must be the correct lesson for the correct end result. For example, you don't spend your time studying for a history test if you're writing math the next day. Yes, you're studying, and yes, you're writing a test, but you won't get the best results for your math test because you're busy learning all the wrong lessons. So growth in worthiness is by sacrificing the right things to learn the right lessons. Thor had to let go of his arrogance. Now, when Odin cast Thor out, he put a little clause on Mjolnir. He said whoever is worthy will be able to possess the hammer and the powers of Thor. It became up for grabs. And here's the thing. Here's the impressive thing. Thor paid the right price to be worthy again. He always was. He just lost himself for a time. The cost Thor had to pay to grow and be worthy was sacrifice. Thor's willingness to sacrifice himself and confront the destroyer in hope his life will save the others was one of the most important gestures that made Thor worthy in the end. But here's the thing. Thor at the beginning wasn't the only one unworthy of his power and kingship. Loki was equally just as unworthy of kingship as Thor was in the beginning. While Thor in his anger and arrogance was willing to gamble with the lives of his friends and Asgard in order to have war with the frost giants in the beginning, but ending as a better person, Loki was willing to betray Asgard and Odin his father out of malice, bitterness, and envy for Thor in order to make himself king, a seat he himself was equally unworthy of. Now I think Odin should have exiled both of them, but chances are only Thor would have returned with the right lessons and growth, and Loki with an army. Self-sacrifice is the requirement of growth and worthiness. The price that has to be paid is abandoning your former self and your former ways in order to be worthy of a new level without ruining everything. And that is exactly what would have happened if Thor hadn't been cast out. He would have eventually ruined everything if he became king at that point. He had to grow. It is a shame though that after Thor 2, it seems like Thor never really reached his potential as king of Asgard. I'd say they ruined Thor's character development and ended up making him a comic relief by Thor Ragnarok, and that was really disappointing. However, Thor 1 still has so much to offer as far as depth and drama and important lessons to learn. And here's one of those important lessons to learn. You must be worthy of your position and your powers. And the cost of attaining that worth, as we see in Thor 1, is a little suffering and some self-sacrifice. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. It's highly appreciated. Till next time.